I'm Penny Hatfield from UCA Outreach, and welcome to a Canvas Conversation with Sally Roden. Sally is a familiar face to many of you. She was a fixture at UCA for over 40 years, starting as an instructor, a director, an advisor, and an associate provost, just to name a few of her many positions. She wore lots of hats. Sally is with me today for a different reason. We're here to talk about an art exhibit at UCA Downtown, Discover Sally Roden. I've had the pleasure of knowing Sally for many, many years, but for those of you who may not know so much about her, Sally, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as Penny said, I started my career at UCA about 40-something years before I retired, and I got the position as technical director, and then I became director of forensics, and then I became associate provost and dean of undergraduate studies. And I felt that at the time and still do, that I really wanted to help students, and I wanted to help them succeed. There's so much that can happen if they have the degree and the doors will open for them. They don't know what's ahead, but they need to be prepared. So I certainly believe in an academic education. So that's how I started and came to Conway.
And you were so instrumental in the lives of so many students at UCA. I know that I've always known you to be an artist in the theatrical sense, but not as a painter, although I suspect she's painted her fair share of sets over the years. When did you start painting and why?
Well, it was an accident, actually. I was sitting in the kitchen, at the kitchen counter, and there was a workman there working on the washing machine and dryer, so I wanted to be close. And so there was a piece of paper on the counter, and I was bored, and there was a little Charlie dog, who was a miniature Australian Shepherd, was sitting close to me. And so there was a pencil and a piece of paper, and I just sort of sketched it. And it began to look like a dog, and it began to look like Charlie dog. And I went, how did this happen? Sort of. So, yeah. When Mary came in, Dr. Mosley came in, and she saw it, and she said, that looks good, you know. And then the kids came in, and they saw it, and they said, did Walter do this? And they said, no, I did. So some time passed, and then I got a birthday gift from Molly for some art lessons at Art on the Green. So I called Bonnie McKay, who was the art instructor, asked her what to bring, and she said, bring primary colors and a couple of brushes. So I took my little sack and a canvas, and she said, bring a picture. So I took it and I set up at Art of the Green, and then she said, paint that. And I went, paint it? How do you do that? So I just started with some colors, and the picture I had was of a hummingbird and on azalea plants. And so the azalea is pink, but they're different pinks, different colors, different shades. And so I began to do the different colors, and pretty soon it looked like a flower, and then I tried to do my little bird with different colors, and it looked like a little hummingbird on a flower. And I went, oh my gosh, I did that. How did I do that? And so the next week she said, bring another picture, and this is how it started.
But what does the first brush stroke look like? I mean, I know you have a picture there, but where do you start? There are no numbers that tell you where to begin. How do you know where to start?
That was my question too. How do you start? And she said, just put some paint on the canvas, and then you start working with that color, and then you add different colors to it, and pretty soon it begins to look like something, and it evolves, and you go, oh my, look at this. Like, I don't set out and go, it's gonna look just like this. you gradually add the strokes to it, and then it begins to take form. And that's all I know what to say is that.
So when you've got all these different colors, you've got dark and light, is it easier to make something lighter or darker?
It just depends, because in trying to get perspective, and you're trying to do distance, you have to use different shades. Like at the horizon, it's a certain color, but as the sky goes up, it's a different color. So when you may start with a darker color and then go to a lighter color, but in the water, you might, on the far side, it might be darker, and you come lighter towards you, because that darkness gives it the distance. See?
So since you've taken up painting, do you look at things differently?
Of course, you look at more details. I use the example, say, of this brick behind you. If we were going to paint that brick, it's all different colors. It's not one color. So you start out with basic, the darker one, and then in this case, I would add the lighter on top of it, like that. So, but yeah, more detail. You look at you look at things about how they are positioned, or the distance of the colors. We talked about this plant. If I were going to paint this, I would start out with a darker green, and then I would go, of course, with the different colors then as it comes out, to make it, to give it the depth and the distance. So it just, you look at it and try to paint it. That's all I know to say.
We've mentioned your friend Walter Mosley.
Yes.
He was a great painter,
Yes.
so talented. Were you influenced by Walter?
Yes. The paintings, I'll say yes and no, because the paintings I was surrounded by were professional paintings. He was a professional painter. He lived in New York. He went to the Art Students League, which is the oldest art school, and you know, he taught there and he helped there, and so yes, the paintings were very professional, but I never did think that I could do anything. And it was after he was deceased that I more or less started painting. And there are so many questions now. I wish that I had an opportunity to visit with him.
So if you could ask him anything, what would you ask him?
He always talked about, you have to be conscious of the light. Any painting that you do, you have to say, where is the light coming from? What is the light doing to your work? And I would like to ask him more about that specifically.
As you look at things differently, and
Yes.
your paintings, and you are painting, you think about the light and how it's affecting it, where the light is coming from in your painting. Are you more able to see that now and understand what Walter was really talking about in some ways?
I can see it to a certain extent, but let's say that I'm doing a landscape and you go, okay, it's bright daylight, you're outside, but that light changes. And so you think about, well, the sun is light, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the light on the painting itself. And I'd like to know more details about that, how I did that.
Oh, yeah.
Like the shading of one side to the other side and so forth. But I'm not talking about, here's a bright light down on the painting.
Right. So is there a particular medium you like more than others? Watercolors, oils?
There is. Oil. I like oil painting. I tried, after I started, well, you can't take oil paintings around with you in your pocket, more or less, and paint. So I thought, well, I'll try colored pencils, and to take with me. And I tried that, but you can't shade it. To me, anyway, I couldn't shade it like I could with oils, or I couldn't mix the colors. I tried a chalk. Well, that gets all over me, and I didn't like that. So it's just my choice that that I wanted to do oils, and I didn't want to do watercolor because then you've got to have water and paper and whatever. And I admire people who can take a brush and take it across paper and water and do watercolor, and it's beautiful, but it's not for me. So oil is just what I've chosen.
Okay. Well, we're Facebook friends too. So I've looked at your posts on Facebook and your On the Easel posts. I've seen a lot of landscapes, a lot of nature. Is that what you prefer to paint?
Well, right now I'm preferring to do it because I can't do people. They don't turn out right, is all I can say. If I did a
But
person,
you can do dogs.
I can do dogs, but the thing about a dog, and I've done two that I'm sort of proud of, it's the eyes of the dog that you have to capture. And to me, doing a person, it's your eyes that you have to capture. I can do a head, I can do eyebrows and so forth, but if you don't capture the personality in the eyes, I think you miss it. Oh, yeah. So I've tried a couple of people. The other thing that I have found trouble with people is the skin color, because your skin is not just one color, it's different colors, and it's not pink, as you say, draw a pink person. It's not, in our case, it's not sunburn, whatever. And so I can't draw people, or I can't paint people right now. Maybe sometime in the future, but right now I'm satisfied with waterfalls. I love waterfalls. I love to see if I can make the water move. And that's a very difficult kind of thing, because you're painting water on a flat canvas, but when somebody looks at it, it needs to move.
Yeah.
So that's very difficult.
That's tricky.
So I'm learning. I'm still learning.
Well, yeah, that's great. So do you paint from memory? Do you paint from a picture that you've got?
Well, mainly I paint from pictures, because in COVID, and that's more or less when I started painting, you didn't go out, and so I just started painting from pictures. Although Walter said you should never paint from a picture because you don't have the three-dimension to look at and everything. But for me, it's been convenience, for one thing. I have painted outside, and then you have to take everything with you and so forth. So I've just set up, actually I use a table, easel, and like a desk, so I sit at my desk with my easel, and I have my stuff right there, and so then I paint from a picture. Now, when you say paint from a picture, it might be me studying it. Like if we were not doing anything right now, I might be looking at a picture and say, okay, when I paint it, I need to think about this, this, and this, or this color. And so then when I go to the canvas, I can reproduce it. So it's not like going, back and forth from a picture like that.
So what happens when you paint? Is it Zen-like? Do you sort of go someplace else, or maybe into the painting? I don't know.
Well, for people who enjoy music, who sit down and play the piano or any instrument, you get lost in the music. You become part of the music. It's the same way with the painting. Time just passes, and you don't realize that you've been sitting there for so long painting, until your back might tell you you might need to move a little bit. But yeah, you just get involved in it, and you go, okay, now I want to do one more stroke here. Okay, now I need to do, if I did this, then I need to do this. So one thing sort of leads to another.
How do you know when a painting is finished?
I don't think it's ever finished.
Okay.
I think there's always something else that you can do to it or go back to it, but you can finish it for the moment and say, okay, I'm ready to go on to something else.
So when you paint, do you let things marinate for a while, then come back, work on it a little bit longer? or
Well,
you just know when you're
there
done?
again, it's like if I paint, but then if I want to go do something else, I'll go do it, and then I come back. And sometimes I get up and walk away because I need to give it some distance and come back, and then it looks a little bit differently, or I go, okay, now it looks okay. A painting for me will take maybe a week, sometimes 2, depending on the painting. But I don't keep it on the easel for a long time. I'm gonna do it, and then once I start something, then I want to get back to it. You know, like I want to finish it. You know, I want to get. But then you can go too fast too. So it's learning. I'm just learning. I mean, this is so new to me.
Well, I just think it's great that you are doing this. You're learning things. You're learning talents you didn't know you had, and I just think that's fabulous.
Well, I just think one of the reasons that I'm so excited about the show is I want people to see that when you retire, you need to find something else that you can do, that you want to do, that you love to do, that you just don't go and sit and read and do nothing. Well, reading is doing something too. But, you know, you don't know what you can do until you try it.
Well, that's true.
And so I think you need to get out and try things. And it's exciting to me. It's a whole new world, actually.
So we share a background in theater. So what I want to know is, you always have a little bit of nervous energy opening night. Do you have some nervous energy about this exhibit?
Well, of course, because it's part of you. And if you are writing a book or you're writing a story or short story, anything, it's always like you're putting yourself out there. So yes, I'm putting myself out there, and I'm going, I want people to like it, of course. I want people to come. You don't know whether anybody's going to come or not.
That's true.
So you want to show what you have. You're interested in what they have to say about it as well. I don't mind critiques. You know,
Oh, yeah.
That's the way you get better.
That's right. That's right.
And different eyes see things different ways. So, yeah, I'm excited in different ways about having the show.
Now, is this the first time any of your art will be on exhibit?
No, the Conway League of Artists have they have a competition, and I've entered it a couple of times and got 3rd place or, you know, good show or something. And then they have art around Conway, and they've had a couple of my pieces in the Chamber of Commerce. But this is the first one I would call a gallery showing.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, this is going to be my art, and I just hope that people in Conway see what, if I can do this, then they can do that. And I hope that UCA Downtown becomes a real showplace for different talents within Conway.
Yes. And I know I think we have a Conway League of Artists show maybe later in the year. And you're a part of that organization?
Yes,
okay.
yes, I am.
So you probably need new
And
members.
just, you know, I think I've been to 2 meetings, so it's new too. Everything is new.
Well, that's great. Everything is new, and that's great. And discovering, that's right.
Everything.
We're discovering you in a different light, and you're
Yes.
discovering your own talents, and I think that's just
right.
wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Mine too. Sally's art will be on display from August 31st through September 23rd. Gallery hours are Wednesdays through Friday from noon to 5 p.m. There will be a reception to which you are all invited on September the 9th from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. here at UCA Downtown. We hope you will join us for that reception. Come out and discover Sally Roden in a new light.